Hello, my name's Hemingway Jones and welcome to the channel. This is where we talk about fountain pens, inks, journals and journaling, and writing. Coming to you today from my library to talk about a very special pen. This is a Sheaffer Legacy from around circa 2005. So without much more ado, let's get into it. So you may have seen some of my recent videos where I organize my pen collection, and it's a really interesting exercise. I think it's really good for you to go through everything, think about what you have, how it relates to the other pens, which ones you use quite a bit, which ones are inked regularly, and which ones maybe you've lost your passion for. And those you may want to give away as gifts, or perhaps sell them and buy something else that brings you joy and pleasure and brings you back to writing again. So in doing all this, I saw my Sheaffer Legacy sort of hanging out by itself. It's the only Sheaffer that I own. I do like Sheaffer, especially vintage Sheaffer, but I've had this pen for almost 20 years. I do enjoy it quite a bit, but I haven't put any ink into it for about the last 3 years. So then I ended up buying Krishna See at Night ink, which has this incredible sheen that goes from blue to green to red. It's almost iridescent. Perhaps it is iridescent. So the blues that are quite dark, if you look at them under the light, they reflect very red. And it's quite a striking and interesting experience to write with this ink. So I decided that I would ink up my Sheaffer with this ink. And as soon as I did, I instantly reconnected with it, and everything that I always loved about it came back. So, first of all, this is a very interesting, well-styled pen. It is made of all metal, except for the grip that is plastic. It's a nice plastic. It feels very warm in your hand, and it helps you to guide the pen. The metal body itself feels very sleek and gives it quite a bit of balance. The metal is fluted and sort of zeppelin shaped, not so much like a diplomat, but similar. And I think the most striking feature of this pen is its nib. Its nib is outstanding. It's an inlaid 18-karat gold nib that has a bit of softness to it, but writes fantastically. The way that this medium nib is cut or crafted, if you will, gives it just a bit of line variation, almost like it's a tiny stub. So it is a spectacular pen to use, and I'm sure part of the softness of the 18-karat gold adds to this. Now this pen is cartridge or converter fill. I have a converter in it. It works fantastic. I personally feel that converters help the ink to flow a bit better than cartridges. But I did use cartridges with it when I first bought it, and they worked fine as well. The pen is made out of some kind of metal alloy. There's nothing precious in the actual pen. All the gold was saved for the nib, and the nib is 18 karat, as I said. But the pen itself is made out of chrome metal. But it feels very nice in your hand. It feels substantial and well balanced. The overall look of this pen is mid-century Art Deco. And that's a fun and interesting aesthetic to still see up into the 21st century. So if you like Art Deco and mid-century design, this pen fits right into that aesthetic. It's got a bit of weight to it, but that doesn't detract from the writing experience. It's just thick enough to feel comfortable in your hand. I tend to like slightly thicker pens. Often, thin pens are nice, they have a certain elegance, but a thicker pen feels a bit more comfortable to me. I tend to cradle my pens in my hand. So I'm not gripping them so tightly, rather than just guiding them along as I write. And this pen is one of my favorite writers. Another feature of it is that it lays down quite a bit of ink. Now, this could be a problem to a lot of people. A lot of people don't like really wet pens. I happen to enjoy it because I like to see the ink spreading on the page as if you're troweling it along and making very deliberate lines with a lot of line variation, the way a thicker ink can do for you. However, you really can't touch what you write with this pen for like 10 minutes. Now, that's an exaggeration, but certainly for a few seconds. If you're somebody who touches what you write quickly or has a tendency to rub your hand over the page, you could certainly have a problem with this pen. And that would go certainly for left-handed writers. You would definitely have to use a different hand position for a pen like this. Nevertheless, if that's not an issue for you, I would say to seek out one of these pens because the writing experience is incredibly smooth when that nib, that beautiful 18 karat gold nib, is cushioned on a bed of flowing thick ink. It's just one of the most exquisite writing experiences that I know. It also makes this very, very good as a signature pen. So if you're someone like me who signs their name 100 times a day to authorize documents, and if you actually have to do it on paper and not through DocuSign, a pen like this would be perfect as a signature pen, which is basically a pen that you only use to sign your name. Many people use bold pens for the same reason. Now, this puts down a similar amount of ink as a bold pen, but does so with a medium nib. That's what makes it so interesting and extraordinary to me. So this pen does have this certain aggressive energy to it. It's very sleek. It comes to a spear point. It looks a bit like some kind of stylized mid-century skyscraper. It's one of the things I like about it. It is incredibly unique. Many pens look similar. There's really nothing else that looks like this Sheaffer pen. I mean, the Careen has an inlaid nib, but that's more soft, more elegant, where this one is very aggressive, very spear pointed, and is just its own thing entirely. I especially like the sleek diamond that's made in the inlaid where the nib comes into the grip section. It just looks amazing. It is so well finished. And I've been writing with this pen on and off for 15 years, and it has held up wonderfully. It writes as well as it did the first day I got it. Now, I'm fairly tough with my pens, and this pen is not in pristine shape. If you put a loop to this or even look under a magnifying glass, there are faint scratches all over it from me setting it down, having it in my pockets, jostling around with whatever else was in there, carrying it in bags, taking it to business meetings and everything else that I've done with it. And I'm proud of that. To me, fountain pens are both an investment because you get a lot of enjoyment out of them, and sometimes they're worth more than when you buy them for, but they're also a consumable, and I like to use them. I just want to have these for the rest of my life to enjoy and to share, and hopefully to share with you guys. I don't see these very often in this particular style come up on eBay. If I did, I'd probably bid for them myself. But I find that these are an extraordinary pen. The design alone makes it something that fits into anyone's collection because it's so unique that it's its own thing. And that's a nice thing to add when you're building a decent pen collection. So, in closing, I love this Sheaffer pen. I think it's fantastic, and I think you should consider adding it to your collection. So what do you think of the Sheaffer Legacy pen? Is this one you'd like to add to your collection? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, a comment, and share this video with someone else that you think might enjoy it. I'd appreciate it very much. And if you didn't enjoy this video, thanks for sticking with me till the end. And I hope to see you all again very soon. Thank you very much.